If you're looking for the most alien landscape on Earth, you've found it. Antarctica is a continent of ice, where temperatures can plummet to almost unbelievable lows and life seems downright impossible. But what if we told you that miles beneath this frozen desert, trapped in total darkness, there's a lost world? Scientists have discovered a hidden, salty reservoir, sealed off from our world for millions of years. It's home to an ancient ecosystem that actually thrives without light. And we're not just talking about weird microbes, we're talking about a chilling, real-world example of how life could be surviving right now on other worlds in our solar system. Part 1. A Ghost of the Past. To understand how a lost world could be hiding under all that ice, we have to turn back the clock a few million years. Back then, Antarctica wasn't a frozen wasteland. It was a green continent covered in forests and full of life, with a climate more like a temperate rainforest than a polar desert. But as the Earth's climate shifted, the continent began to freeze over. A massive sheet of ice, now miles thick in some places, slowly entombed the land. This colossal deep freeze didn't just bury mountains and valleys, it also trapped pockets of that ancient world. Small lakes and pools of seawater were sealed off, becoming liquid time capsules buried under unimaginable pressure. For millions of years, these pockets of water have stayed liquid, totally isolated from the atmosphere, from sunlight, and from the rest of the planet. One of the first, most dramatic clues to this hidden world was found over a century ago. In 1911, a geologist named Thomas Griffith Taylor was exploring a remote frozen valley when he stumbled upon something that made no sense at all: a glacier that looked like it was bleeding. A vivid crimson waterfall was pouring from the snout of the ice, staining the landscape a shocking red. Naturally, they called it blood falls. For decades, nobody could figure it out. What was this stuff? And where on earth was it coming from? Part 2. The Journey into Darkness. The first guess was that red algae was causing the color, but that theory was quickly proven wrong. The real answer was far more incredible. Scientists eventually figured out that the blood was actually water with an extremely high concentration of salt and iron. The liquid comes out from under the glacier perfectly clear, but when the iron-rich brine hits oxygen for the first time in ages, it rapidly oxidizes. It literally rusts. That chemical reaction is what gives the falls their eerie, blood-like color. But this discovery just made the mystery deeper. If the water was rusting, it had to be coming from an oxygen-free environment. And for it to flow in temperatures that are almost always below freezing, it had to be incredibly salty, since high salinity lowers water's freezing point. All the evidence pointed to a bizarre source, a subglacial reservoir, trapped and hidden from the world. The challenge then was immense. How do you explore a place buried under nearly 400 meters of solid ice without contaminating it? Drilling was a huge risk. The science team had to act more like surgeons than explorers, taking extreme care to make sure nothing from our world, no modern bacteria, no oxygen, could get into this pristine ancient environment. Using sophisticated tools like ice-penetrating radar, which first began revealing a vast network of subglacial lakes across the continent in the 1970s, researchers started to map the world beneath their feet. They sent signals deep into the Taylor Glacier, and the returning echoes painted a ghostly picture. They confirmed a network of channels, and most importantly, the source of blood falls, a small hidden body of hypersaline water that had been completely sealed off for possibly millions of years. They were peering into a true lost world. Part 3. First contact with an ancient ecosystem. When scientists finally managed to analyze samples of this ancient water, they made a discovery that would change our understanding of life itself. The water was a chemical cocktail unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. It's 3 times saltier than the ocean, completely free of oxygen, and rich with iron that it leached from the bedrock below. And in that dark, cold, salty water, there was life. It wasn't some terrifying monster, but something arguably stranger, a thriving community of microbes that had evolved in complete isolation. In a place with no sunlight, photosynthesis is impossible. So, how did they survive? The answer is a process called chemosynthesis. Instead of using energy from the sun, these microbes had learned to breathe minerals, They get their energy from a complex chemical cycle that involves iron and sulfate compounds in the brine. For millions of years, these ancient organisms have been surviving by reducing sulfate, a leftover from the ancient seawater, and metabolizing different forms of iron. They are essentially iron-fueled life forms. This unique metabolism is what produces the very iron compounds that stain the water red when it finally sees the light of day. But the discoveries didn't stop there. For over a century, scientists thought the red color came from these iron minerals crystallizing. But recent, more powerful analysis found something even more alien. The red color is largely caused by tiny, amorphous nanospheres, microscopic particles of iron, silicon, calcium, and other elements, all bundled together. These nanospheres aren't crystalline, which is why older analytical methods couldn't even see them. They're created in this unique environment, possibly with help from the microbes themselves, and only show their true color when they burst from the glacier and oxidize. We weren't just looking at rust, we were looking at a complex microscopic signature of a completely foreign world. The idea that life could exist in such an alien place on our own planet is just staggering. And it makes you wonder, what else is out there? If you find these kinds of cosmic questions as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Let us know what you think in the comments. Do you believe we'll find life on Europa or Enceladus in our lifetime? Part 4. A glimpse of other worlds. The discovery of this lost world beneath the ice is more than just a cool fact about Earth. It has huge implications for one of the biggest questions we've ever asked. Are we alone in the universe? The ecosystem at Blood Falls is a perfect proof of concept for how life might exist on other planets and moons right here in our solar system. Two of the most exciting targets for astrobiologists are Jupiter's moon Europa and Saturn's moon Enceladus. Both are icy worlds, but scientists are almost certain that beneath their frozen shells, they hide vast global oceans of liquid water. These oceans are kept liquid by the gravitational pull from their giant host planets, which stretch and squeeze the moons, generating enough internal heat to keep them from freezing solid. Just like the reservoir at Blood Falls, these alien oceans are dark, cold, and believed to be in direct contact with a rocky seafloor. That contact creates the potential for chemical reactions that could provide energy for life. Enceladus even has geysers at its south pole that spew plumes of ice and water vapor into space, which the Cassini spacecraft discovered contained organic molecules, the building blocks of life. The microbes of Blood Falls show us that life doesn't need sunlight. It can survive in cold, dark, oxygen-poor environments as long as there is liquid water and a chemical energy source. The iron-breathing bacteria of the Taylor Glacier are a real-world example of exactly the kind of life that could be thriving right now in the hidden oceans of Europa or Enceladus. The recent nanosphere discovery also tells us something critical. If we're looking for signs of life on other planets, our tools might be missing the evidence. Strange, non-crystalline biosignatures might be common out there, and Blood Falls is teaching us how to look for them. The lingering mystery. The story of Blood Falls starts with a simple curiosity, a bleeding glacier, and ends up opening a window into a lost world. It's a world that has been isolated for millions of years, playing by its own set of biological rules, where life found a way to hang on in some of the most extreme conditions you can imagine. It has totally reshaped our understanding of where the limits of life on Earth really are. But maybe the most incredible part of this story is that it's not over. In fact, Blood Falls is just the beginning. Radar data from missions like the Cryosat satellite have revealed that Antarctica is hiding a massive continent-wide plumbing system. The number of known subglacial lakes has now climbed to over 600. Many of these are active, filling and draining through a complex network of hidden rivers. The largest of them all, Lake Vostok, is a body of water the size of Lake Ontario, buried under 4 kilometers of ice. Each one of these lakes is a potential time capsule, another isolated environment that could have its own unique story, its own unique chemistry, and maybe its own unique forms of life. The secrets of Blood Falls were just the first chapter. With hundreds of these subglacial lakes still totally unexplored, what other lost worlds and what other strange forms of life are still waiting for us buried beneath the ice.